Alright, I have my goggles on and I'm ready to play. My name is Sloth154 and welcome back to Horace. Last episode we went back to the mansion. Mr. Silton gave us a security card. We went down deep into the catacombs of that mansion. Found the lab. We fought a robot with rockets that shoot out of his chest and nanobots that were more trouble than they were worth. But now we're with Mr. Silton and Preston to steal this van that they used to use when they... Stop pointing, you jerk. Ooh. That they used to use when they robbed postal offices. Now we're just gonna steal that back. And I think Mr. Preston ripped off their old partners. Dagnabbit. Yeah, but in the last episode, I don't know how long it ended up being, but I died so many times. Oh, come on. Yeah, I was gonna try to... Can't jump too high, can't jump too low. I thought that was solid. Play-Doh shrimp. Huh? $2.95. Not too bad, not too bad.
The man didn't look like a thief, but maybe his striped jumper was in the wash. Mr. Silton was certain he'd stolen the van though, so I watched for a moment.
Did he buy the van?
I heard Mr. Silton climbing up. I was going to speak, but Mr. Silton held a finger up to his lips. He looked incredibly serious for a moment. One swift movement, and we were inside.
Ah, that's where I get the coral bar.
Mr. Silton whispered that I was to go one way while he went another. Why are you whispering? I asked him. Where are we going? Find the keys to my van, Robocop, said Mr. Silton through gritted teeth.
Huh. Why do you have an electrified floor? Oh, can't go up there. I can't do the window.
Silton said we should split up, so I thought it best to go the other way.
Okay. Dang it. Go. 10,000 volts. What the? Why? Oh, this is gonna throw my brain into... Oh,
The piles of junk were all wired into the mains. I suppose it was a good deterrent against thieves.
And possibly... Are those bear traps? Nope, I can't pick those up. Oh, it took my head off. Alright, I don't have any problem with people defending their stuff, but this is excessive. Yep. would put that thing in their house? Are those mines? No, I'm not gonna risk it. My curiosity won't stop. Oh no, those are fire. Those things spit fire. Super shield. What? No. Welcome back, buddy. Clean that room.
Alice would have felt at home here, with all the huge piles of junk everywhere.
Oh, I made it. $70,000 junk. Oh, we went flat. Alright, I gotta stop. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm on a conveyor belt. Thank you. Alright, this room is clean. Oh, glad I saw that. Oh, those are stairs. Oh, I see. There we go. Clean that room. Whoa, I don't like that. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I got it. Don't worry, folks. I did it. I did it. What? Oh God, Mr. Stilton.
I didn't know which key I should take, so I took all of them.
Why do you have this many keys, people? Dang it. Alright, there we go. All the keys here. I'm gonna kill him a lot more. What if there's a death? Nah, they wouldn't put that in. Nope. Not what I wanted to do. Not what I was supposed to do. Alright, I get it.
I finally managed to collect all of the keys.
Alright, so what do we do now? Okay. No map function, huh?
As soon as I heard the gunshot, I knew I needed to go back and find Mr. Silton.
Was he shot? Dang it. It's starting to make me dizzy. Oh, nope, nope, can't do that, can't do that. Alright, I made it. Alright, there we go. That's how I did it without cheesing it. Oof. And burn your butt. Alright. Oh, made it. Oh, that's why. Dang it. Don't tell me Mr. Stilton's dead. I might need that. Ah, they even have one of the robots here. Ooh. No! Oh, I can get my little buddy back though. Oh, we're right side up again. Right, I have 2 shields, so we might be killing some old people.
The old man was pointing an even older gun right at Mr. Silton's face. But the man looked terrified when he saw me. I can still picture his hands shaking as he reloaded his ancient firearm. "This wasn't the plan," shouted Mr. Silton. "It's him or me. Let him have it."
What?
I didn't know what I was going to do when I caught the old man.
Well, he might just have a heart attack, because he's just running over fire.
But I knew I had to stop him. If someone dared hurt my friends, they would have to pay.
Just gonna take the gun. Oh, we ripped his arm. We ripped the skin off his arm. Oh no, we vaporized him. Yeah, my jaw dropped too. Oh no, Horace. Horace. I can't. I'm gonna say Horace. Poor robot. There's something you didn't want to do. Didn't know you could do. This is almost Stilton's fault. Could they roll up the windows, please?
I kept turning the events over in my mind. Could I have handled things differently?
Yes.
Could I save Mr. Silton without hurting that man?
Yep.
Mr. Preston could see I was upset, and said music was a good alternative to facing up to problems. "Come with me," he insisted. "I'm going to teach you how to play drums." "First," he said, "just play the bass drum along with me. We'll see how good your timing is."
Oh, don't make me do this. Fine. Oh no. Oh no. No, I don't like this. Fine. No, I don't like this. Don't make me do that again. Please, I never want to do that again. No.
Mr. Silton was patched up, but still pretty angry. He referred to the man as a word that wasn't in my dictionary file. It should have been between cunning and cup.
Oh.
I reminded Mr. Silton about going to find the others now we had the van. But he said there was something even more important we had to do first. Mr. Silton explained that it was a good idea that Mr. Logan be released from prison early, and that this wouldn't involve a parole board, but might involve dynamite. Straight away I was apprehensive. I thought only bad people went to prison. I knew Mr. Logan was the guitarist in Mr. Silton's band, but why would we help a bad person? In the end, I think it's only Mrs. Silton's smile that convinced me to help. Mrs. Silton promised to have a present for us when we got back. She said she'd been saving her money from her decorating job. I didn't know what I would need money for, but then realized, if nothing else, new games consoles must be out. Be careful, said Mrs. Silton with
Oh,
a
he's
big
making us do
smile.
crimes.
Don't rob any post offices, and don't get shot.
You kind of deserved it.
In the dead of night, it was surprisingly easy to get close to the prison building. Mr. Silton said it was like the Death Star and had a weakness we could exploit. Although I seem to remember the robot getting shot when they did that in the film. But there was no time to worry as Mr. Silton pressed a walkie-talkie into my hand and said, "Good luck."
A false friend and a shadow attend only while the sun shines. Benjamin Franklin. Friends aren't always what they seem, Chapter 6. Well, I knew he was a bad friend. Well. That's how we
It's
do it.
obvious the security lights would set off an alarm. I
Oh,
needed to find somewhere to hide, or the guards would kill me.
okay. As soon as I got the little guy. Oh. There we go.
According to Mr. Silton, this was the switch that would open the laser door to Mr. Logan's cell block.
Okay. Copper. I see. Of course, he's not gonna notice the bright blue hat, the bright blue hat in the bushes. I think I broke the alarms. Yeah.
Mr. Silton seemed to think this would open the cell block door. Luckily, he was right.
Alright, hide in the locker. Get going. Nothing to see here. Oh, is that that small one? Wait till the alarm goes up. Okay.
Unsurprisingly, Mr. Logan's cell was locked, but, thanks to my speedy brain, I was able to hack it in seconds.
Cool.
Mr. Logan was not pleased to see me. No one ever was. But I couldn't work out why. However, when I mentioned Mr. Silton, he soon cheered up. We quickly made our way outside. Although I wasn't sure about Mr. Logan's stealth techniques, they were quite different from mine.
Oh no, he killed him!
Someone must have noticed Mr. Logan was missing, as, with a bright flash, we were
I thought I was just gonna... He got shot again!
This still wasn't the plan, said Mr. Silton as he insisted he was okay, and that, no, I didn't need to clean up the trail of blood. He did, however, urge me to take care of the huge tank bearing down on us.
A tank? What the... Okay. Okay. Oh, I took down a tank. Oh. Okay, this is a proper boss fight. Dagnabbit. hell didn't we?
We all piled into the van. Mr. Logan and Mr. Preston took out large guns as Mr. Silton gave me some driving software. It basically explained that one foot pump made the van go, and the other one signaled Mr. Logan and Preston to fire their guns.
If you could finally tell. Rainton? Oh, the van's on fire. Like everyone up in town. Telling the criminals are back.
I hoped that all the bullets fired led to non-fatal wounds, but statistically that was incredibly unlikely.
Yeah.
Strangely, I felt too excited and relieved to care. Mr. Silton winced as he clutched his bleeding shoulder and explained how you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. I think broken eggs.
You've been shot twice in one day.
Sometimes, he said, you have to do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means killing.
But not innocent people,
said Mr. Logan as he stared straight ahead. Eventually, I asked Mr. Logan what he had done to end up in prison, but he just continued staring out of the window. Mr. Preston smiled as he said, I suppose someone should explain. He told me when the war started, he and Mr. Silton had avoided conscription, but Mr. Logan was called up. His unit's first orders were to sweep through a huge urban area, killing anything that moved.
Oh.
The only trouble was, hundreds of refugees had recently taken shelter there.
Oh.
The generals knew that those people were there, said Mr. Preston, but they couldn't have cared less.
This isn't the time for another one of your conspiracy theories,
interrupted Mr. Silton. Although this obviously annoyed Mr. Preston, he continued explaining how Mr. Logan and another man deserted, and, after a poor attempt to hide in a wooden vaulting horse, the pair of them were caught at gunpoint on a train, whilst trying to speak rudimentary German. Mr. Logan guided us down a small side street as Mr. Preston complained that he needed the toilet. Mr. Silton asked why we were taking the scenic route while he was trying not to bleed to death. But Mr. Logan gave Mr. Silton a quick glance. You're fine, he said with the faintest of smiles.
He's bleeding. He's not fine.
Soon the night sky was full of twinkling stars, and I was able to impress everyone with my navigation skills. The software was state-of-the-art, but I remember Heather telling me how the ancients had used the stars in much the same way. It always made me smile, thinking about the names she gave the constellations. It was the middle of the night by the time we got back, but Mrs. Silton was still up waiting for us. Really, again, in the same place, was all she said as she shook her head and tended to Mr. Silton's second bullet wound. Mr. Preston nearly knocked us over as he sprinted towards the bathroom. It appeared that his body had kept on making urine, even though it didn't have anywhere left to store it.
Yeah. Human body's stuck that way. Thursday night TV. 7:20 musical diversion. Trust me, I'm a celebrity. Question for money.
I asked
Here's
Mr.
what
Silton
happened
about Heather and the old lady, but he said he was just about to wash his hair. When I asked him again later, he said the main thing was that we'd got Logan and the van back, and couldn't the rest wait until I had cleaned up the band room for him. I didn't know what to say. Everything we had done, everything I had helped him with, I thought it was all to get everyone back together. But now I didn't know what to think. Before I could say anything, Mrs. Silton
You got
explained
angry.
that it was okay if I only travelled on trains and was alone. I must have looked worried as Mrs. Silton smiled and continued, "If you really want these idiots to go with you, they can disguise themselves and catch the next train after you." Mr. Silton was dismissive, and said I'd get nowhere without proper ID. "They'll be stopping robots for even the tiniest of things," he said. "And a robot passport costs a fortune these days." "Well," said Mrs. Silton, "it's a good job I've got this."
Oh.
Mr. Silton looked confused and asked where Mrs. Silton got the money. "Sometimes," said Mrs. Silton, "when God slams a door in your face and shoots you twice in the shoulder, he opens a window."
Huh.
Mrs. Silton explained how Preston had given her the extra money. He said there was good money to be made selling pills and powder to people that distracted them from the world being an absolute mess.
Bedtime,
said Mr. Logan as he carried his guitar into his room. Everyone else left one by one, leaving me stroking the dog.
Cool. Oh, another drink. I hate reverted controls. The dreams of flying. Don't worry. If those second-rate copies get a jetpack, you'll get one soon. Number 1.
I awoke to the sound of Mrs. Silton making herself some breakfast. It felt very early, but I suppose it was just that we had gotten so late. Mrs. Silton gulped down her coffee, and with a reassuring smile she said, "Let's do this."
Let's do what? How does she get out of this place? Thank you, Mrs. Silton. You're a true friend. Like your husband who used me to commit crimes and made me a
The
murderer.
pedestrian tunnel was far longer than I expected,
Oh, she's
but
keeping
it was
out.
nice. It gave me a chance to chat with Mrs. Silton.
Register all robots. Rogue robots cost lives.
She told me she was from an upper-class
Wait a
family.
minute, is that
and
Mario?
Her parents had nearly disowned her when she married Mr. Silton.
Yeah.
But she said she really was happy being with her husband. And after all, as she put it, he did provide for her in this messed-up world. However, I couldn't help but laugh when she said how much she liked Mr. Silton's band.
Really?
I steered the conversation onto the topic of the war. She explained she had been a nurse near some major combat, but she looked really sad, so I changed the subject. I asked her if the town was nice. Mrs. Silton smiled, and described it as a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Rich people? Ah, I cleaned the tunnel for you. Oh. Oh, those are big walls. I'll clean up your city. Put all the garbage men out of work. Rampaging robot.
Train tickets cost 1,000, so Mrs. Silton said I should trade in some of the things I'd cleaned so I could afford to travel. However,
Really?
when we tried the door, it was apparent that the junkyard owner wouldn't be back for a while. So Mrs. Silton suggested I try to earn some money by other means. She said there were plenty of jobs in the town that a robot could do.
What kind of jobs?
The largest of the old ladies explained the job to me. I would be drying plates. She explained that old people couldn't afford to retire anymore, so
Well-
she and her friends had to take menial jobs. All of the old ladies would be throwing plates at me as quickly as they could. I just had to catch and dry them.
Oh no. -80. Alright guys, I'm gonna leave it here. Went through a lot this episode. We killed someone. He's gonna deliver that. Mr. Stilton. We broke out one of the people from Mr. Stilton's band from prison. And it turns out that if we get angry, we can vaporize people. So I'll see you guys in the next one.